My child, there is power in the tongue. There is music in your voice. There is wealth in the words you dare to speak. The psalm is not just poetry, it is a promise. And when you speak it with faith, heaven bends down to listen, and doors of provision begin to open wide, me friends. I want you to know this prosperity is not a stranger. It is a guest waiting to be invited. Too many of us live with the fear of not enough time, not enough money, not enough chances. But I came to remind you today, enough has already been written into your story. When you speak the psalm, when you declare it with the authority of your heart, you are saying, I am not a beggar of blessings. I am an heir of abundance. You see, wealth is not just coins in your pocket or bills in your hand. Wealth is the courage to believe, the discipline to act, the wisdom to wait, and the faith to keep going. If you rise each morning and whisper the psalm, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," you are not just repeating words. You are setting a decree over your life. You are commanding lack to leave your house. You are inviting opportunity to sit at your table. Hear me well, poverty is loud, but prosperity is patient. Poverty screams with worry, but prosperity waits in faith. And when you choose to speak life, you silence the fear and you welcome the breakthrough. So today I want you to walk tall. Lift your chin. Square your shoulders. Let the world know I will not live in lack. I will not bow to fear. My cup shall overflow, for the psalm has been spoken over me. And remember this, God does not give halfway blessings. He is a God of overflow, of pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So if you speak His word, you must also prepare to receive His abundance. My beloved child, I want you to pause for a moment and feel the weight of your own words. There is power in the tongue, more power than many of us dare to believe. The tongue can build up or tear down. It can bless or curse. It can call forth life or invite death. Every word you release is like a seed planted in the soil of the universe, and the soil does not argue with you. The soil does not say, "This seed is too small," or "This seed is too foolish." No, the soil receives what is spoken, and in time it brings forth what has been planted. When you speak words of defeat, you plant defeat. When you speak words of fear, you plant fear. But when you speak words of hope, when you declare the promises of God, when you lift up your voice with confidence and proclaim what the psalm has already promised you, you are planting the very seeds of abundance, favor, and breakthrough. That is why the tongue is more powerful than gold or silver, because with it, you can call forth what does not yet exist and watch it appear in your life. The ancient psalm says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Do you hear the authority in that statement? It is not a whisper of uncertainty. It is not a timid request. It is a declaration. It is a decree. It is a child of God standing tall and saying, "Lack will not live in my house. Need will not reign in my story. My shepherd has already prepared for me. Therefore, I will not want." But here is the mystery: if your tongue is always busy rehearsing your fears, your doubts, your worries, then your mouth is working against your destiny. Many people pray with their lips, but cancel the prayer with their speech right after. They say, "God will provide," but then they mutter, "I'll never have enough. I'll never get ahead." The tongue is a double-edged sword, my child, and you must learn to wield it with wisdom. I know the pain of waking up and seeing bills piled high, of feeling like there is no way out, of whispering prayers that seem to vanish into the night. But I also know the miracle of opening my mouth and choosing to speak life, even when death is at the door. I have witnessed the world shift because I dared to call things as God called them, not as my eyes saw them. You see, the tongue is not just flesh and muscle, it is the instrument of creation. With it, God Himself spoke the world into being. He said, "Let there be light." And there was light. He did not think it. He did not write it. He spoke it. If the Creator Himself shaped reality with words, why would He not place that same authority in the children He loves? So when you rise in the morning, do not let the first words out of your mouth be about your lack, your struggles, or your fears. Let the first words be a decree: "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Say it until the fear trembles. Say it until your spirit stands tall. Say it until your day bends to the will of your declaration. Because the power of the tongue is not just in speaking what is seen, but in declaring what is unseen until it manifests. Your mouth is a doorway, and when you open it with faith, heaven itself walks through. When you speak this psalm, you are not just reciting a verse, you are unlocking a reality. You are swinging open the gate of provision. You are commanding the universe to align with the promise of God. And I want you to know this deep in your bones. You cannot keep speaking light and expect to remain in darkness. You cannot keep declaring overflow and expect to remain in lack. The power of the tongue is too mighty. Sooner or later, your words will build the world you are living in. Therefore, guard your speech as you would guard a treasure chest. Let no careless word of defeat fall from your lips. Let no whisper of lack linger on your tongue. For every time you speak, you are either tightening the chains of scarcity or unlocking the doors of abundance. Speak with courage. Speak with confidence. Speak with faith that shakes the heavens. And know this: when you speak the psalm, the power of your tongue aligns with the promise of your God. And that, my child, is a force no lack, no fear, no poverty can withstand. The psalm is not simply a collection of words written long ago on parchment by a poet or a priest. No, my child, the psalm is a living covenant, a divine promise dressed in poetry, yes, but carrying the weight of eternity. When you open your mouth to speak it, you are not reciting pretty verses to soothe your soul. You are invoking a contract sealed by the Creator Himself. The psalm is heaven's way of reminding us that what God has spoken cannot return empty, that His word is not a song of wishful thinking, but a decree set in motion before the foundation of the world. Think of this for a moment. A contract in the earthly courts binds two parties to an agreement. When a contract is signed, it cannot be ignored without consequence. If a human signature carries such weight in the courts of men, how much greater is the weight of the psalm, written not in ink, but in the eternal breath of God. It is not a suggestion. It is not a fragile prayer that may or may not reach the skies. It is a divine statement that carries the authority of the one who cannot lie, the one who cannot fail, the one whose word is sharper than any sword and firmer than any stone. When you say, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," you are signing your name to that contract. You are stepping into the promise that your life will not be abandoned to lack. The psalm is a declaration that provision has already been assigned to you, that guidance has already been charted, that green pastures and still waters are not possibilities, they are destinations. But here lies the mystery. The psalm waits for your voice to activate it. A contract that sits in silence remains paper. A covenant unspoken remains hidden. Yet when you dare to declare it, when you speak it aloud with trembling faith or with bold courage, the psalm becomes alive in your atmosphere. It is not magic. It is alignment. The psalm is God's voice waiting for your agreement. When you echo it, heaven recognizes the sound. Angels lean forward. Situations begin to shift. Doors that were rusted shut begin to creak open. Not because you are powerful in yourself, but because you chose to stand on a promise that is older than time. So often, people read the Psalms as if they are lullabies to soothe weary hearts. But the Psalm is more than comfort. It is command. When David wrote these words, he was not sitting in luxury. He was not dining in wealth or walking in easy peace. No, he was surrounded by enemies, chased through valleys, tested by hunger, and pressed by danger. Yet he did not write, "I hope the Lord will be my shepherd." He did not say, "Maybe I will not want." He declared with certainty, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." He spoke it as law, as a fact, as an unshakable reality, even when his eyes told him otherwise. That, my child, is the power of promise. The psalm is not a song of convenience. It is a contract of conviction. It demands that you choose to believe beyond what you see. And when you dare to stand on it, when you take those words and let them drip from your lips in the quiet of morning or in the struggle of night, you are saying to the universe, "I refuse to bow to scarcity. I refuse to believe that my destiny is empty. I align myself with the promise of the shepherd who provides, who guides, who restores, who anoints." I want you to understand this truth. The psalm does not change because your circumstances are dark. The contract does not expire because the bank balance is low. The covenant does not crumble because your heart is heavy. The promise stands. And if you can lift your head and whisper it, you will find strength rising where weakness sat. You will see provision coming from places you never expected. You will watch opportunities chase after you because the psalm has been spoken and the contract has been enforced. So do not treat the psalm as mere poetry, as something soft to be recited in moments of sadness. Treat it as your declaration of ownership, as your legal right to abundance, as your signature on the heavenly contract that was written long before your first breath. And when you say it with conviction, with authority, with the unshakable knowing that the shepherd does not abandon his flock, that his word does not falter, and that every line of the psalm is a door to a breakthrough waiting to be opened by your faith-filled voice. All around us, the world teaches scarcity. From the time we are children, we are told, "Be careful. There's not enough. Not enough money to go around. Not enough jobs to be shared. Not enough opportunities for everyone to win." And slowly, almost without realizing it, we begin to live as though scarcity is truth, as though lack is law. But I came to tell you today, scarcity is not your inheritance. Scarcity is not your portion. Scarcity is not your destiny. Abundance is. You see, when you hold on to the mindset of scarcity, you begin to shrink your dreams. You tell yourself, maybe I should not ask for too much. Maybe I should not reach too high. Maybe I should not expect more, because there isn't more. But that is a lie that has been passed down from fear itself. Fear always tells you there is not enough. Faith always tells you there is more than enough. Fear looks at the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and says, "This can never feed thousands." Faith lifts those loaves and those fish to heaven and says, "Bless it, Lord, and multiply it." And what happens? Overflow, baskets left over, more than enough. The psalm declares, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." That is the language of abundance. That is the vocabulary of overflow. It does not say, "The Lord is my shepherd, I will barely survive." It does not say, "The Lord is my shepherd, I might make it through." It says, "I shall not want." That means my needs are met, my table is full, my cup runs over. That means I walk into every situation not with the spirit of a beggar, but with the confidence of a child who knows the house of their father has rooms upon rooms of provision. But let me speak to you plain, because abundance is not only measured in coins or currency. Abundance is the strength to stand when life has knocked you down. Abundance is the wisdom to make a decision that brings peace instead of chaos. Abundance is the courage to keep moving forward when everything around you says stop. Money will come and money will go, but a spirit rooted in abundance will keep you rich no matter the season. When you carry a mindset of scarcity, even if you gain wealth, you will live like you are poor. You will clutch, you will hoard, you will fear losing what you have, because deep down you believe it can all slip away at any moment. But when you shift into the mindset of abundance, you begin to understand that what God gives cannot be taken, that what flows from His hand is not a trickle but a river, and rivers never stop moving. You learn to give freely because you know more is coming. You learn to dream boldly because you know heaven is not bankrupt. You learn to live peacefully because you know there is no shortage in the kingdom of God. I want you to picture this. A child stands before a great table, and on the table are loaves of bread, baskets of fruit, jars of oil, pitchers of wine. The table stretches as far as the eye can see. Yet the child looks down at their empty hands and says, "There is not enough." That is how many of us live, standing in front of the table of God's provision while speaking the language of lack. But the psalm was given to us to remind us, you don't stand at the table as an outsider. You stand at the table as a guest, as a child, as a beloved one. You have the right to take and eat, the right to receive and be filled, the right to expect that the table will never run dry. Abundance is not greed. Do not confuse the two. Greed says, "I want it all for myself." Abundance says, "There is more than enough for me and enough for you too." Scarcity teaches us to compete, to fight, to push each other down, because it convinces us there is only one seat at the table. Abundance teaches us to share, to lift each other up, to celebrate one another, because we know there are seats enough for every soul. And when you finally step out of scarcity and into abundance, something inside of you shifts. You stop begging and you start declaring. You stop fearing and you start trusting. You stop worrying about what you don't have and you start praising for what is already on its way. That is the secret of the psalm. It shifts your language. It shifts your posture. It shifts your entire being from lack to overflow. So I challenge you, when you wake tomorrow, don't rise with words of scarcity on your lips. Don't whisper, "I don't know how I'll make it. I don't know if there's enough." Instead, declare it, "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want." Say it until your soul believes it. Say it until your heart dances with it. Say it until every shadow of scarcity flees from you. And when you do, you will find that abundance is not far away, because abundance has been waiting for your faith all along. Faith is not a fragile thing. It is not a thin thread that snaps when the wind blows. Faith is a force, a climate, an atmosphere that surrounds you wherever you go. You may not see it with your eyes, but you will feel its effect in everything you touch, in every step you take, in every door that opens. When you choose to believe and to speak words of belief, you are not simply uttering sounds into the air. You are shaping the very atmosphere around you. And atmosphere always determines outcome. Imagine walking into a room filled with heavy smoke. Even if the furniture is fine, even if the walls are beautiful, you cannot breathe easy in that place. You choke, you cough, you feel pressed down because the atmosphere has been poisoned. Now imagine stepping into a wide meadow at sunrise where the air is crisp, the breeze is gentle, and the sky is painted with light. Even before you sit down, you breathe easier, you lift your shoulders, you smile without trying, because the atmosphere has been set for peace. This, my child, is what faith does to the soul. It clears the air, it lifts the heaviness, it sets the tone for prosperity and for blessing to flow. When you speak the psalm, when you declare with confidence, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," you are not only announcing truth, you are filling the very air around you with a new climate. Fear cannot breathe in that air. Doubt cannot thrive in that atmosphere. Poverty cannot grow in that soil. Faith creates a field where miracles can blossom, where opportunities can sprout, where breakthroughs can take root. Some of us keep wondering why things do not shift in our lives. We work hard, we hustle, we stretch ourselves thin, yet we see little change. But have you considered the atmosphere you carry? You cannot plant seeds of abundance in the soil of constant complaint. You cannot expect joy to flourish in an environment poisoned with negativity. You cannot expect doors to open when your own words have built walls around your life. Faith is not just a private feeling hidden in your heart. It is an atmosphere that leaks from your words, your posture, your spirit, and touches everything you encounter. This is why you must guard your speech, because when you say, "Nothing ever works out for me," you are not just describing your reality, you are reinforcing an atmosphere where nothing works. When you say, "I will always struggle," you are not just voicing frustration, you are calling struggle into the air you breathe. But when you say, "I am blessed, I am guided, I shall not want," you are building a canopy of faith over your life. You are making space for provision to appear, for peace to settle, for blessings to arrive. Think of faith like the air in a greenhouse. Plants thrive in a greenhouse not because they are stronger than plants outside, but because the atmosphere inside has been controlled. It is protected, it is warm, it is nurtured. In the same way, when you fill your life with words of faith, when you speak the psalm over and over again, you are turning your soul into a greenhouse for blessings. Even if the storm rages outside, even if the world screams scarcity, inside your spirit the climate remains steady, fertile, and ready for growth. Faith does not ignore reality. Faith does not deny the bills that need paying, the mouths that need feeding, the obstacles that stand tall. Faith looks at them squarely and still says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Faith is not blind. Faith is visionary. It sees beyond what is into what shall be. It creates the bridge between present struggle and future promise. And every time you declare the psalm, you are laying planks on that bridge. Step by step, word by word, you are walking from fear into fullness, from lack into overflow. I have seen men and women who carried faith like perfume. Before they spoke a word, you could feel their confidence, their peace, their expectation. The atmosphere followed them. And I have seen others who carried despair the same way, their presence heavy, their words dripping with defeat. The difference was not in the challenges they faced, but in the faith they chose to live by. One carried an atmosphere that welcomed miracles. The other carried an atmosphere that repelled them. So if you want to unlock financial breakthrough, if you want to see abundance flow in your life, do not only work with your hands, work with your atmosphere. Create a climate where blessings feel at home. Fill your mornings with declarations of promise. Fill your nights with whispers of gratitude. Let your home echo with the sound of, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." Say it until your walls remember it. Say it until your children repeat it. Say it until your very breath carries it into every corner of your life. Faith creates the atmosphere, and atmosphere invites the miracle. And once the miracle comes, it does not arrive timidly. It comes boldly. It comes fully. It comes ready to overflow. All it was waiting for was the right air to breathe, the right climate to grow, the right atmosphere to move. That atmosphere is your faith, spoken aloud, lived out daily. Wrapped in the psalm that has never lost its power, we have been trained to believe that wealth is measured only in numbers, in the size of an account, in the weight of gold, in the value of property. We have been made to think that unless we can count it, stack it, or deposit it, then it cannot be called wealth. But my child, that is a shallow vision of abundance. True wealth is deeper, wider, richer than the limits of currency. For what is money in the hands of a fool? What is gold in the heart of a man without peace? What is property to a woman whose spirit is restless, whose nights are sleepless, whose joy has been stolen by worry? That is not wealth. That is slavery dressed in luxury. Wealth begins not in the bank, but in the soul. It is the courage to wake up each day and still believe that your life matters. It is the wisdom to know when to hold on and when to let go. It is the peace of laying your head on the pillow at night without being tormented by fear. Wealth is the love that surrounds you when the money runs thin. Wealth is the health in your body, the laughter in your house, the resilience in your spirit. These things cannot be bought, and yet they are treasures of a greater value than all the silver on the earth. The psalm reminds us of this. When it says, "He restores my soul," it is reminding us that true provision begins in the spirit. For what good is bread if your soul is starved of joy? What good is wine if your spirit thirsts for peace? The shepherd does not only guide you to green pastures for your stomach, he leads you to still waters for your heart. He anoints your head with oil, not so that you may only shine in the eyes of men, but so that your spirit may know you are chosen, blessed, beloved. That is wealth beyond the language of dollars and coins. Consider this: many chase riches, but few chase wisdom. Yet riches without wisdom vanish like smoke, while wisdom will lead you to riches and teach you how to keep them. Many chase success, but few chase peace. Yet success without peace will eat you alive, while peace will make even the smallest blessing feel like abundance. When you understand this, you stop running after the shadow of wealth and begin embracing the substance of it. Yes, God will give you money, but more than that, He will give you the courage to step into opportunities that money alone cannot buy. He will give you wisdom to multiply the little until it becomes much. He will give you patience to wait until the harvest is ready. so that you do not pluck your blessings too early. He will give you the faith to walk into rooms you once thought you did not belong in. This is wealth. This is abundance. This is prosperity of the spirit that spills into the physical. Do you know what true poverty is? It is not an empty wallet. It is an empty soul. A man can have a mansion and still be poor if his spirit is broken. A woman can have jewels and still be poor if her joy is gone. But let me tell you this, a man with courage, though his wallet be light, is already rich, because courage will carry him where fear cannot. A woman with wisdom, though her house be small, is already wealthy, because wisdom will open doors no key can unlock. A child with peace, though they have little to their name, is already prosperous, because peace makes even the smallest portion feel like a feast. So do not despise the wealth you carry already. Do not overlook the treasures that cannot be counted. Every breath is a coin. Every heartbeat is a jewel. Every lesson learned is an investment. Every trial endured is equity in your character. When you speak the psalm, you are reminding yourself of this greater wealth, the kind that cannot be stolen by thieves or diminished by market crashes. This wealth lives in you, walks with you, guides you, and multiplies what you touch. And here is the mystery: when you learn to value true wealth, the other kind will begin to find you. When you carry courage, opportunities arrive. When you walk in wisdom, doors open. When you live in peace, favor follows. Money will become a servant, not a master. It will add to the abundance you already carry, not define it. That is why the psalm declares, "My cup runneth over," not because of the coins inside, but because the spirit within is already overflowing. So if you wish for financial breakthrough, begin by embracing this truth. Wealth is courage, wealth is wisdom, wealth is peace. And when these live within you, every material blessing you need will come in its season, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Every morning you rise, you are given a choice to step into the day carrying the weight of yesterday's burdens, or to crown yourself with the promises that cannot be broken. Life will always come whispering about the bills waiting, the challenges ahead, the dreams still unfulfilled. But before you open your door, before you take your first step into the noise of the world, you must decide what decree will govern your day. The psalm is not just something to be read in a soft corner of your room. It is meant to be spoken, declared, breathed into your very morning as a law over your life. When you say, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," you are not reciting a ritual. You are commanding your atmosphere. You are appointing your day. You are speaking life into the hours yet unborn. The world rises with complaints. Many open their eyes, and the first words from their lips are words of lack. I am tired. I don't have enough. I don't know how I will make it. They do not know they are already setting a course, already painting a canvas with dark colors before the sun has even finished rising. But those who know the power of decree wake differently. They know that words are not fragile things, but mighty forces, so they rise with authority. They rise with gratitude. They rise declaring the psalm, not to remind God, but to remind themselves that lack will not sit at their table today. To decree daily is to plant daily. A farmer does not place seed in the ground one time and then expect a lifetime of harvest. No, he rises each season. He sows again. He waters again. He nurtures again, because he knows that life flows in cycles, and what is tended daily will flourish continually. The psalm is your seed, and the morning is your soil. If you decree once and abandon it, you are like the farmer who throws seed into the ground and never returns. But if you decree every day, you are building layer upon layer, root upon root, until your life becomes an orchard of abundance that cannot be uprooted. The decree does not mean you will never face trials. It does not mean bills will vanish overnight or challenges will never come. But it does mean this: you will meet every trial from a higher ground. You will walk into every challenge wearing the armor of faith. You will approach every bill not as a beggar, but as one who believes in provision. For when the words, "I shall not want," live on your lips, they begin to echo in your spirit, and when they echo in your spirit, they command your steps. You no longer move like one at the mercy of the world. You move like one carried by the shepherd. There will be days when you wake weary, when the decree feels heavy, when the words taste dry in your mouth. Speak them anyway. Say them until your soul believes again. Say them until your heart warms again. For the power is not only in the feeling, the power is in the speaking. The seed does not always look alive on the day it is planted, but underground it is breaking, stretching, growing. So it is with your decree. Even when you do not feel it working, it is working. Even when you do not see it moving, it is moving. And here is a secret: the decree you speak in the morning is not just for you. It is for your children, for your household, for those who will hear your words and be lifted by them. When you stand and declare, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," your walls hear it, your atmosphere receives it, your future is shaped by it, your legacy is strengthened by it. But words never die, they travel, they echo, they build, they prepare. A decree made today will meet you in the tomorrow you have not yet entered. So make it a rhythm. Make it a song. Let it rise with the sun and set with the moon. Whisper it as you dress, as you walk, as you work. Speak it into your meals, into your rest, into your quiet moments. Let the psalm become so woven into your life that even when you forget, your spirit remembers and keeps speaking it on your behalf. And as the days gather into weeks, and the weeks into years, you will see the fruit of your decree. You will see how doors open not by luck, but by law. You will see how fear dissolved not by chance, but by command. You will see how provision followed you, not because you chased it, but because you called it every morning, every day, without fail. This is the power of daily decree. It is not noise, it is authority. It is not routine, it is dominion. It is not mere habit, it is a covenant spoken aloud. And when you live in this rhythm, lack loses its grip, scarcity finds no seat, and abundance recognizes where it belongs. There is a voice that speaks louder than reason, louder than wisdom, louder even than truth if you let it. That voice is poverty's cry, the language of lack, the echo of fear. It begins softly, almost like a whisper, creeping in during the quiet hours of the night. It says, "You will never have enough. You will never escape. You will always be behind." And if you do not silence it, that whisper grows until it drowns out your hope, until it takes root in your heart and becomes the story you tell yourself every single day. Poverty has a voice, and it is a loud one. But child, you must learn to answer it. You must learn to rise above it, to break it with words of faith, to shatter it with declarations of truth. Fear will always speak first. It will tell you that the doors are locked, that the way is blocked, that the table has no seat for you. But the psalm gives you the answer: "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." These are not just comforting words, they are a sword, they are a shield. They are a direct contradiction to the voice of lack. When poverty says, "You will want forever," you rise and declare, "No, I shall not want." When fear says, "There isn't enough," you declare, "My cup runneth over." When doubt says, "You are alone in this struggle," you say, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for he is with me." The secret is this: you cannot outthink the voice of poverty. You must outspeak it. If you let its words echo in your mind, they will tighten chains around your soul. But if you answer them with faith, you will hear the chains begin to break. Words are not just sounds, they are weapons, and silence is surrender. When poverty speaks and you remain quiet, you have already agreed. But when poverty speaks and you open your mouth with authority, you begin to dismantle the lie, brick by brick, word by word, until the fortress of fear crumbles. Do not underestimate how deeply the voice of lack can bury itself. For some, it comes from childhood, from homes where every meal was uncertain, where every dream was laughed at. For others, it comes from seasons of loss, from jobs taken, from doors slammed shut. And even when the circumstances change, the voice lingers, whispering, "Be careful, it could all disappear." This is why you must be relentless in breaking it. Speak the psalm until the whisper has no power. Speak it until your spirit stops trembling. Speak it until your mind is rewired, until your soul is convinced, until your atmosphere sings with faith louder than fear. There will be moments when poverty's voice comes dressed in disguise. It will sound like practicality, like wisdom, like caution. It will say, "Don't dream too big. Don't hope too much. Don't expect too far." But remember, this caution rooted in fear is not wisdom, it is bondage. True wisdom says, plan with faith, move with courage, expect with boldness. Poverty wants you to shrink, the psalm wants you to expand. Poverty wants you to settle, the psalm calls you to overflow. Poverty wants you to live with scraps, the psalm promises a table prepared in the presence of your enemies. You must train your ear to recognize which voice you are hearing. Fear will always leave you smaller. Faith will always make you rise taller. Fear will tell you to bow your head. Faith will tell you to lift your chin. Fear will chain your hands. Faith will place tools in your hands to build. When you choose to believe the psalm, you are not ignoring reality. You are rewriting reality. You are choosing to let God's voice be louder than poverty's cry. I want you to see this clearly. Breaking poverty's voice is not a one-time battle. It is a daily practice, a holy discipline. Each time you hear it whisper lack, you answer with abundance. Each time it screams fear, you answer with courage. Each time it mocks your dreams, you answer with the psalm. And slowly, the volume begins to shift. Fear's voice grows weaker. Faith's voice grows stronger. Until one day, you realize you no longer hear the old chains rattling. You no longer hear the old whispers haunting. All you hear is the steady echo of truth. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. And when you reach that point, something miraculous happens. You begin to carry silence where there used to be noise, peace where there used to be panic, joy where there used to be dread. You will find yourself laughing at what once made you cry, walking boldly where once you trembled, speaking confidently where once you were mute. The voice of poverty will not vanish on its own. You must break it with your own mouth, with your own faith, with the psalm that has never lost its power. when you speak the psalm, and when you carry it in your bones, you must understand something very important. You are not preparing for scraps. You are not preparing for survival. You are preparing for overflow. Too many people ask God for just enough, whispering timid prayers for barely enough to make it through. But the God who authored the psalm is not a God of just enough. He is a God of overflow, a God of more than you asked for, a God of pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And if you dare to open your mouth with faith, you must also dare to open your life to receive blessings larger than your imagination has yet dared to hold. Overflow requires preparation. If you walk to the river with a thimble, you will only return with a thimble full, even if the river is endless. If you walk with a barrel, you will return with a barrel full. God's provision is not limited by His capacity. It is limited by your expectation. If you are preparing only for a trickle, then when the flood comes, you will not have room to hold it. But if you prepare for overflow, if you enlarge your vision, if you stretch your faith wide, you will be ready when the windows of heaven open. The psalm says, "Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over." Not half full, not 3/4 filled, it runs over. That means there is so much poured into your life that you cannot contain it. It spills, it spreads, it touches others around you. Overflow is not meant to be hoarded. Overflow is a sign that you have been blessed to be a blessing. That what you carry will nourish not just you, but all who are connected to you. But hear me well, overflow will always challenge your faith, because overflow feels impossible when you are standing in lack. It feels ridiculous when the bills are unpaid, when the fridge is half empty, when the opportunities seem few. And yet, that is exactly the moment when you must prepare. The farmer does not wait for clouds to gather before he plows the field. He plows when the ground is still dry, trusting the rain will come. In the same way, you must enlarge your life in expectation. Act as if the blessing is on its way, because faith prepares before the miracle arrives. Preparation looks like gratitude. When you give thanks for what you have, you make room for more. Preparation looks like discipline. When you handle the little with care, you prove you are ready for the greater. Preparation looks like generosity. When you give even while you wait, you show heaven that your hands are ready to receive and to release. These are the ways you prepare for overflow, not by begging for it, but by living as if it is already yours. And let me tell you this, overflow will test your character. Because it is one thing to live with lack, it is another thing to live with plenty. Lack makes you cautious, but abundance asks you to be wise. Lack makes you cling, but overflow asks you to release. If your heart is not ready, you may treat overflow as a possession instead of a responsibility. That is why the psalm roots overflow not in greed, but in the presence of the shepherd. It is not about having more just to have more. It is about carrying more because you are trusted to bless more, to feed more, to inspire more, to build more. There will be moments when the blessing comes and you will be tempted to shrink, to say, "This is too much for me, I don't deserve this." But remember this, the shepherd never pours by accident. If your cup runs over, it is because you were chosen to carry it. Do not apologize for overflow. Do not hide it. Do not shrink it. Walk boldly in it, for it is the evidence that the promise has been fulfilled. And overflow is not only about money, child. Overflow is about opportunities arriving one after another. It is about favor opening doors before you even knock. It is about ideas flowing from your mind faster than you can write them down. It is about peace that stretches wide enough to hold you even in storms. It is about joy that bubbles up and spills over, touching people who never even ask for it. That is overflow. And when you prepare for it, you do not only change your own life, you change the lives of everyone who encounters you. So do not pray for crumbs. Do not live for leftovers. Stand tall, speak boldly. Say with authority, "My cup runneth over." And then prepare your heart, prepare your mind, prepare your life for the flood of blessings that are already on their way. Because when you speak this psalm, you are not just inviting provision, you are unlocking overflow. And once overflow begins, no enemy, no fear, no circumstance can stop it, for the shepherd himself has set the table, filled the cup, and promised the blessing. When you rise tomorrow, I want you to speak this psalm as if the world is listening. I want you to declare it until every shadow of lack flees from your door. Say it until your children hear it in their bones. Say it until your bank account feels it. Say it until heaven itself answers, "Yes, my child, yes." Overflow is yours. Breakthrough is yours. Abundance is yours. For when you speak the psalm, you unlock the promise.